Hey Margie,
Hi, Bonnie. So what are we talking about today?
I'd like to take another look at this big fat word ego. I was a psych major in school, so I've had that word in my consciousness for a long time, and I hear people talking about that it's bad, that it's something we want to get rid of, that there's even people that say it's not part of God. God didn't create ego, it's separate from God. And I don't know that if everything is made up and I choose my beliefs, or I can change my beliefs, I didn't choose my original ones consciously, having some part of me that I want to destroy just doesn't resonate with how I want to live my life.
Yeah, I in the 80s was on the let's get rid of the ego train because that was the strong belief of the last century. But what I've come to realize or come to believe in this moment, and it may change because it seems like everything I've ever believed has changed, but I feel like if we have one and God created us, then it's part of us. Now, I did hear that, I've heard several things about it. Matt Kahn talks about the ego. When you're in judgment, it's the child personality trying to get its needs met.
Mm-hmm.
And when I practice that, I do find that when I'm having what used to be an ego judgment, it really is a need of mine not being met. I have found that to be true when I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also remember hearing, and I don't even remember who said it, about that there's an immature ego and then there's a God-aligned ego. And that's what I'm starting to believe now. I believe ego keeps me to be my little individual drop in the ocean or wave in the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
That's my ego, is that separate piece. But if I'm aligned, then I know that's my piece of God.
It's interesting that you say that, because my guru, Amrit Desai, going back, 30 some odd years, said, why would you want to kill the ego? Why not let's get it healthy? And that seems to align with what you're saying, that when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm getting my needs met, when I'm taking responsibility for the fact that on some level I'm creating, attracting, and there's again a whole bunch of mincing words here. When I take responsibility for myself and my life, then on some level I can't make mistakes. Everything to me, everything is God. That there is a violent streak in me, there is the shadow of me, but that's okay. That's being human. It's I just, do I feed it? Do I get upset that I'm upset? Do I get angry that do I judge that I've judged, or do I go, and it's part of what I've been doing is, okay, I'm judging. What are the beliefs that are feeding that judgment, good or bad? Because judging isn't just I'm judging you or that or me badly. It could be I'm saying it's good instead of just it is. Neutral. One of our previous talks, we were talking about feeling more neutral. Well, neutral is neither saying it's better or worse than what it is. And when I live there, my ego seems to be quieter. It doesn't, and I know Matt and others talk about the ego is somehow tied up with our innocence. And I haven't listened to, I know one of them is emotional oneness often enough that I can say his words in my words yet. But the idea that there's the innocence, the inner child in me, that I need to parent in a more loving, supportive way instead of ignoring it. And I think it's just when I'm ignoring my inner child, it acts out, and we call that the ego. And if I'm taking care of myself, if I'm listening, that I find in retrospect I judge myself less. So when I play back what I did, because I sometimes do that, and probably when I think I've acted inappropriately is when I find myself replaying. And when I'm okay with myself, when I'm aligned with spirit, with love, when I'm letting the moment flow, when I'm letting go and accepting the next moment, I'm just here.
Yeah, I don't know. Bentino Massara talks about the ego being our individuation. And he says that when we're upset, it's because we have a belief in lack. And I've been playing with that a lot also. And I think that ties in with that innocent child feeling like its needs aren't going to get met. Like because there's not enough time, or there's not enough money, or there's
I'm not enough.
Or there's not enough attention, or I'm not enough. And when I really realize what an abundant universe it is, and when I get to this moment, in the moment, I always have enough.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm finding myself thinking just a little bit about both Abraham Hicks and I think just the whole attitude of gratitude. If I've asked for something, first of all, is that me asking, or is that a gift from God that
Right.
I'm now aware of? Is it my dream that I'm asking God to fulfill, or is it that I have volunteered and God's going, great, here's your next assignment, as it were? That if I believe that it's going to happen, I just don't know where or when or through whom, then I live in an attitude of gratitude. And to me, gratitude, joy, love seem to be a consciousness. I don't even know if I'd call them emotions in the chakra system. Oh, we could get carried away here. I think I won't.
Yeah.
But that when it's like this turn with acting. With painting, at the beginning of I didn't know that I was even going to paint until last November. And even though I'm anxious about it, and I feel like I drive my teacher crazy, she laughs and she works with me, and I'm getting lovely feedback. And I started helping with a production in July, and now not only am I being spiritual coach for another play, I've been invited to teach acting to adults, and it's like I've never taken an acting class, and yet it's bringing me joy, and it's moving me in a direction I never imagined, and I'm being grateful in advance of knowing where this is all going.
And you said something, I think it's this living in the moment, not being attached to what happens, opens up so much. You talk about your painting, and as you said that, I thought about, I made my top, I've been making clothes, and I just did that because I couldn't find anything that I wanted, so I decided I would make one. But I noticed as I'm doing it, I'm getting more creative, I'm thinking about more things. And I believe that when we just do something because we want to, no other reason, I just want to do this, that it opens up that creativity, where before we plan, and this is what it's going to look like, and that made me crazy and anxious and always feeling like I wasn't doing enough. And to just...
And the ego, the criticized aspect of ego. So here's where it gets real interesting. saying I'm painting and showing off my painting, some people would say is my ego. But in a way, it's my little kid going, look at what I've done. I'm really proud of this. And the same with the theater stuff. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm making a difference. And a conversation we probably are going to save for another time, but I want to put a placeholder for is, are we able to do this now because we're retired, semi-retired? We don't have to worry about working. Or is it possible to live like this even while out in the world working? Are we just talking to ourselves and our peers? Or is the way we're living something that anyone can embrace at least a little bit more?
I believe that we can live this way even out in the working world, the real world. I believe that we didn't know it because we've just gotten here partly because of our age and living. But I know that like in a workshop, everybody says, oh, I wish we could take this out into the world. Quite honestly, I live that way out in the world. I connect with people on this open, right here, right now level all the time, and I'm finding people being drawn to me.
Yes.
And I think it's just because I'm present with them.
Yes.
Just because I see their spirit and I don't really worry so much about their drama and their story. I want to know who they are at their essence. And I do think that look at me is part of our personality.
And our essence.
And our essence.
You know, we've been talking about ego as my ego and self-absorbedness. The point that you just made does make us attractive. I know that we all have egos. You know, Jerry Stocking, my coach right now, talks about that we're all grotesque. You know, that is a part of us. There is a part of me that goes, why would anybody like me? And that's weird for me to say now as I have more and more people inviting me, but the fact that I know that there's a part of me that's yucky, I know that there's a part of you and everybody that is, but I don't focus there.
But I do think that's part of our wholeness.
Yeah.
The part of I'm walking on the planet and I fart and I burp and it I don't know, it gives people permission to be less than perfect. Where earlier in my young life, I kept trying to be pretty far into middle age too, kept trying to be perfect, whatever that meant.
Right.
And could never live up to it, so I always felt terrible. Now I'm like, this is me. Yes, I weigh more than I would like if I could make a picture, but you want to know something? I don't really care. I don't really care. I'm happy with me. And I look in the mirror and go, oh, who's that old lady? Because I feel 15, 5, 21.
I know.
And who cares? Who
Yes.
cares? And as I find that this is how I feel, then I got flirted at the gas station the other night. A nice looking man who I would guess was 20 years younger than I am.
Yeah.
And I just think it's we're all of it. We're all of it. In this
Right.
human walk, we have a lot of characteristics that I once would have judged as unattractive. Now I judge it as whole.
And with that, to love our ego when she shows up, however she shows up, instead of judging her, which makes, for me, I get more anxious, I behave worse.
Right.
And so there's this match, whatever arises, love that. Love myself as I am in the moment allows me to let go of the moment and welcome the next one with open arms, open heart, and an open mind.
And I know as I sit here listening to you talk, not being horribly attached to what you're saying, not being particularly attached to what I'm saying, I notice just such a presence of you, such a presence of me, and that opens my heart and brings me joy. And this is what I find, I believe we're both doing more out there, which means we can do this anywhere.
including in my house when I'm alone, which is when I drive
I
myself
think that's
crazy.
the hardest time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to exploring us bringing the joy that we share to ourselves and finding
To everyone we meet as well.
well, yes, and me.
Okay.
And so, thanks, Margie.
Till next time, Bonnie.